What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Gadra quietly steeled his resolve. Then he turned his eyes to Yuki, who still remained silent. Calgaryo took Gadra's silence as an admission of defeat. Gadra's magic corps had been disbanded, followed by internal restructuring of the military. The subsequent treatment of Gadra was nothing more than an honorary position, serving as the technical advisor to the armored corps. Having said that, his heroic might was well known, and he probably even retained more influence than Calgaryo. It was also Gadra's own decision to recommend that boy Yuki to be a corps commander. What a pain. Calgaryo was not amused. Archmage Gadra, that champion, had now become old. Still, Calgaryo held his grand achievements in high regard and didn't think he should be disrespected. In the end, he is a person of the past. Now, he's just an orthodox old man causing trouble, huh? With the passing of time, the war effort steadily increased. And those who couldn't keep up with that progress were left in the dust. Unmistakably, that's where Gadra now belonged as well. The Empire entered a new era. The new three great army corps were unlike anything seen before. First, the armored corps commanded by Calgaryo. It was the largest military force in the Empire and represented a fusion of otherworld science, technology, and magic. The total number of troops that could be mobilized exceeded 2 million. However, that is including the standing forces in various parts of the Empire, meaning the number of troops who could immediately take military action was, in effect, about 1 million. But even so, it was still an abnormally large army, unthinkable 100 years ago. Next, the Magic Beast Corps commanded by Gladium. DNA analysis, and otherworld technology, had made it possible to nurture and raise magic beasts. The training of these monsters lay at the core of this corps. Nurturing magic beasts had been impossible with the conventional knowledge of the past. They realized the potential and committed to further efforts to tame them. By doing so, the tenacious magic beasts became beast knights. The champions of the Empire spurred the magic beasts in battle. The new generation of champions analyzed the blood of the champions who had been active since ancient times and made their power their own. They were born strong. By awakening the power in their blood, the Magic Beast Corps became a legion consisting of only champions. It was said that a fleeting 1 in 100,000 had the talent to join this corps, making it the smallest with only 30,000 soldiers. Nevertheless, their beast knights were magic beasts ranked A- and above, and their strength as a human-monster union was impossible to gauge. Despite numbering only 30,000 members, they were the most powerful elite force the Empire had to offer. Last but not least, the Mixed Corps commanded by Yuki. This division was a hodgepodge, but had a lot of potential. It was a den of misfits, singled out due to their inability to cooperate in groups. At least, that was how the public perceived them. But on a closer look, that was hardly accurate. The reason why the corps members could not coordinate well with others was because of the fact that each and every one of them possessed extraordinary abilities. So outstanding were their abilities, in fact, that managing those guys was difficult. Many of its members were otherworlders whose potential was completely unknown. Due to various experiments that were being carried out inside the corps, there were also individuals who awoke powers beyond belief that could not be reproduced. They became magic beasts, boasting strength beyond a rank. While troublesome to control, they were outstanding warriors. Among them were also human weapons that obtained their power from unknown sources, and as such, many products of experiments were gathered under that banner. In the past, they were simply being managed and kept in line, but now with Yuki as their leader, the corps suddenly emerged as an extraordinarily powerful trump card within the army. The total number of soldiers was around 200,000, half of which were officers and non-combatant staff, leaving around 100,000 troops that made up the actual combat force. Within it was also a hand-picked platoon of elite members that worshipped Yuki. These individuals became the pillars of the Mixed Corps. These were the three new Grand Army Corps of the Empire. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. As soon as the Emperor issued the edict, 1,130,000 troops would start military operations. At present, the Imperial Intelligence Bureau estimated the total military strength of the Western nations to be less than 1 million. Looking at it in terms of soldiers who could potentially be mobilized, the Western nations were looking at an underwhelming 400,000, if they were lucky. On top of that, since it was deemed unlikely that efforts to cooperate among the Western nations would succeed, they concluded that it was unrealistic to expect comprehensive military action from the West. Against those 400,000 disorderly soldiers, the number of imperial elites exceeded 1 million. You could say that it was an exceedingly overwhelming military force, the core of which was the armored corps of Calgaryo. This time, he intended to handpick the best military force to do the job. The breakdown of the 1 million soldiers to be mobilized within his corps was as follows. Augmented Legion. The main force. These were soldiers who had adopted the otherworldly technology and underwent magical modifications. Their individual combat capability was at least C+ ranked, and the elite among them even reached rank A. There were 700,000 of them, an unrivaled division. Magic Tank Division. A decisive weapon in battle. It possessed 2,000 magic tanks, a new weapon they had put into practical use. The magic tank, which was operated by 5 people, was an unprecedented war machine that revolutionized the understanding of battle. The main armament of the tanks, named Magic Gun, had an initial velocity of 2,000 meters per second. It had a 50-round capacity and could fire 5 rounds per minute. Its power was tremendous, being able to unleash destruction equivalent to tactical class super high explosive magic. Incidentally, although this was fired based on magic principles, the shell itself was a simple lump of iron. It was a formidable kinetic projectile that could easily penetrate through both anti-magic barriers and anti-archer defenses. Such tremendous power, formerly exclusive to wizards, rare elites, could now be wielded by the hands of ordinary soldiers. Beyond that, when it came to the difficulty of defending against them, the implications were endless. The number of troops, including the maintenance team, was 200,000, and the more tanks they had, the stronger they were. Air Assault Division. The highly classified weapon. They had 400 airships and were the pride of the Empire, the fruit of the otherworldly knowledge. Each craft could carry a maximum of 400 passengers. Of them, 50 were vital maintenance crew required to operate the ship, while the remaining crew would be engaged in defensive magic or gunning. It was equipped with a large number of magically enhanced guns, making it an excellent warship for both offense and defense. It was also useful as a means of transportation. In this day and age, it could be said that there was no concept of air supremacy. Since anti-aircraft precautions didn't yet exist, it was possible to transport a large number of troops while the enemy was off guard. With the use of airships, it became easy to spring a pincer move on an enemy, attacking them from both sides. This, too, was an invention that revolutionized tactical theory. The division numbered 100,000 troops, most of which belonged to the former Magic Corps. With such military might, Calgaryo felt that they were unbeatable. For example, the strength of an average knight in this world, depending on the size of the country, was at most C rank. They had to be armed to the teeth, covered in armor, and trained rigorously, all that only to have a slim shot at reaching B rank. The Armored Corps, on the other hand, performed magical modifications on its members if they so desired. For those who were found to be highly compatible through medical examination, they would have to undergo semi-compulsory augmentation procedures. As a result, they had succeeded in raising the Army Corps' combat capabilities exponentially. The same applied to the various soldiers scattered across the Empire. Thus, it gave Calgaryo ample reason to believe that the solid foundation of the Empire could never be shaken. In addition, he planned to spare no reserve for this great expedition, gathering all magic tanks and airships they could muster. In both quality and quantity, these soldiers would overwhelm even an alliance of all other nations. On top of that, they had a number of new weapons they were going to unveil. Calgaryo held a sincere conviction that the Armored Corps was the only way they could demonstrate the might of the Empire to the world. With an army of this might, be it Veldora or a demon lord, there is nothing to fear. My army alone can conquer the world. With such confidence in heart, Calgaryo observed Gadra. That was when he noticed. Gadra had fixed his eyes on Yuki for a while now, and then Yuki spoke up out of the blue.
I also agree that old Gadra is being too prudent. From my perspective, you are overly cautious of the Storm Dragon. As Commander Calgaryo said, we can take care of him with the current Imperial Army, don't you think?
It was the first time Yuki spoke at this Imperial conference. The fact that his opinion was in line with his own made Calgaryo wary. This brat, are you volunteering to conquer the labyrinth? You think I wouldn't notice? You're so naive. It is of utmost importance to be well informed if you ever want to assume the important role of a commander. Even while having this thought, Calgaryo smiled graciously towards Yuki. There was one exception, namely Gladium, but that was only because of his extraordinary strength propelling him to where he was. Calgaryo had always regarded Yuki as an adversary, insisting that it was still too early for him to be a corps commander. Concealing his inner feelings, Calgaryo began spinning his rhetoric.
Amazing, Yuki Dono. Indeed, an up-and-coming young man such as yourself has exceptional vigor.
Well, I still have a long way to go. More importantly, in my opinion, even if we are going to war, we still need to investigate, don't we? To get out of the Great Jura Forest, we need to pass through the dominion of Demon Lord Rimuru. And by the way, I heard an interesting story about how this capital of the Demon Lord can escape, buildings and all, into the labyrinth.
Oh, a labyrinth?
Calgaryo wondered, feigning ignorance.
Yeah.
Yuki said, pleased to elaborate.
To be precise, a dungeon. I don't know what the reason is, but allegedly the capital city could vanish from the face of the earth, leaving nothing but a very large gate above ground.
How foolish. I suppose you're going to offer to investigate the labyrinth and then steal the authorization to conquer it, but that would be mighty presumptuous. Calgaryo chuckled to himself.
Are you sure that information is correct?
Someone asked, followed by several others.
If what you said is true, then we can't ignore the dungeon. They might attack from the rear after the army passes through.
You're right. If the West isn't stupid, they've probably fortified a defensive line. If our supply chain were to be cut off by the Demon Lord's army, our troops would be in a bind.
Then, passing the Great Jura Forest will be dangerous.
Those who heard Yuki's remarks began to express their opinions freely. Yuki also looked cheerful, probably because it was just what he wished.
There's no doubt about the credibility of the information,
Yuki affirmed, having waited for the right moment.
After all, old Gadra went to the labyrinth himself and looked into the matter for us. It was because old Master Gadra saw Demon Lord Rimuru with his own eyes that he deemed him to be a threat. Also, he caught wind of a rumor during his stay. It has been claimed that the labyrinth spans up to 100 floors underground, and that the guardian of the 100th floor is none other than the storm dragon Veldora himself. It was a baseless rumor. However, the investigation was interrupted due to casualties in the 60th underground level. It is said that even the hero Masayuki had not yet conquered that level, so it seems that said level is equivalent to A+ in terms of difficulty. Regardless of which route we'll take to attack the West, investigation is essential,
he concluded, setting aside his usual aloof attitude and assuming a serious tone.
The casualties are...
That's regrettable to hear. I understand your sentiment, Yuki Dono.
Conducting an investigation should be trivial. Why don't we leave this to the mixed corps?
Hearing the nobles chime in like that began to make Calgaryo's blood boil. Bribed imbeciles. Yuki, you shrewd bastard. You should have become a politician, not a corps commander. Even those who were not paid off seemed to agree with Yuki's sincere attitude. This provoked Calgaryo, making him raise his voice.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Jared Bressler, Sanketh Chelu, Minotaur, Chad Vota, Kieron, Ray Perez, Chris Guzman, Havox, Speed Saber, James Waters, Yonjunam, Arijit Daz. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.